This is a tablecloth, and in just 3 cuts and 2 or 3 seams, I'm going to show you how to transform it into this. This technique works for tops and dresses, and you can use the blankets that you have in your linen closet, sheets, tablecloths. Again, I am a Refashionista Sheri, and I show you how to use what you have to make what you want. And today we are making these super simple 3 cuts and 2 or 3 seams, tops and dresses. So you know what? Let's dive in and get making. For this fast and easy project, all you need is a tablecloth or any piece of fabric that fits comfortably around your body and has the approximate length you want your finished garment to have, plus a shirt that is lovely and comfy and wide to use as your template. I'm going to use this vest that I made out of 1980s pillow shams. If you missed this tutorial, I will be linked it down below for you. And of course, you need your scissors and your sewing gear. You don't need a sewing machine. You can do this with simple hand stitching if you want. Because this tablecloth is like an oblong oval shape, there's actually a couple of different ways I can fold this, and it'll be the same if you're using a rectangular piece of fabric. Anything that's square or a perfect circle, you don't got to do this step. Okay, so I have folded it. I think that's called lengthwise. And you can see here, this is going to make the perfect neckline right here. And I think that might be the way to go because it seems to be kind of floaty and flappy on the edges and very boho Stevie Nicks. But let's just fold it the other way just to check. Now, look, that's going to be way too short. That's not going to cover much on the sides there. So I definitely think we are going to be folding this way, which I think would be lengthwise. So I have my fold at the top here, and because I'm just going to chop out this decorative part that's in the middle of the tablecloth for my neckline, I actually am not going to bother doing this next part. But if you don't have something super simple like this to chop out in the center of your fabric, all you have to do is fold this in half again to create a lovely little point here, and then you're going to chop off that corner. And don't chop off too much to start, then go try it on, and if you have to chop out more to get your head through the hole, by all means go ahead, but that is the easiest way to create your neckline. So you can go ahead and do that right now if you don't have this lovely center bit like I have on my tablecloth. And I now have an adorable doily or a patch or a pocket or whatever the heck I'm going to use this for to add to something in the future. So it's going to go in my stash. And I just had a thought that, you know what, you want to stay tuned because I have an upcoming compilation video that is all about upcycling and mending and refashioning with patches. So subscribe so you don't miss that one. If you want to be done right now, you can be. If you just want to cut out your neckline, you've just created an awesome poncho. And if you don't believe me, here's one I made quite a few years ago, and it's still going strong. This was just a little tablecloth, so I couldn't actually add side seams to it to make it into a top, but I did chop out the neckline, and I just did a tight, wide zigzag all the way around to finish it off, and now I have an absolutely adorable little poncho. So there you go. If you just want to stop at that step, by all means, go ahead. Now that we have our neckline chopped off, we can grab our template top. And as I mentioned before, the tutorial for this awesome vest will be down below. It was created from 1980s pillow shams. No pattern, no nothing. And if I can do it, you can do it. So follow the link and go make one. Okay, so we're going to line up our necklines as best as we can. And then you're simply going to grab a pin and you're going to mark on your fabric the underarm armpit area here, as well as where the side seam is. Very, very simple. If you want, you can also put a pin in the edge of the fabric here, just so you have something else to follow. And you're just going to do a very easy straight stitch or hand stitch from this side to your underarm area and then straight down. That is all, just a really simple L-shaped stitch. I don't know if you can see my stitching here, but, oh, there you can see better. So I did a straight stitch, then I did a tight wide zigzag over top of the straight stitch to help prevent any fraying and make it extra sturdy. And now I'm just going to go cut out this L shape here as close to the seam as I can. So far, we have done 2 chops and 1 seam. So we have 1 chop and 2 seams left to go, and then this is going to be done. So what we're going to do now is take our finished side and use it to create the other side. Very, very simple. We're just going to evenly fold this in half, well, as evenly as we can get it. It is a vintage tablecloth. And you can see here, I now have pretty much the perfect template area. So I can just follow this here, put my pins in, and do exactly the same thing I did on this side, and then we're going to be nearly done. Both of my sides are now complete, and I actually have functional sleeves, but you see, it's just basically the shape of a T. It's so simple to make. Now onto the collar, and because mine actually isn't going to fray, it's not coming apart at all, I think I might just chop off these little excess threads here and leave it as is. But here's an idea if you want to finish off the collar too. I've had this piece of lace in my stash for I don't know how long. I took it off of a vintage slip that just wasn't wearable anymore, but I managed to salvage this pretty lace. So if you want to finish this off, you can, of course, just fold it under and give it a nice clean hem. Or you can be a little bit fancier and bind up the neckline with some lovely lace or whatever kind of trim you have on hand. Go into your fabric stash or your linen closet and grab that awesome rectangle-shaped lovely lace tablecloth. So I have my tablecloth folded in half, and I'm just checking. Yes, you see I can have my neckline and I can have hopefully long-ish sleeves, and it should turn out to be a very cute little mini dress. So just make sure that when your tablecloth or your bed sheet or whatever the heck you're using is folded in half, that it's long enough to create some sleeves and it's long enough to cover your behind. So you can see now that I have my tablecloth folded lengthwise and then widthwise. So here is the fold at the top, and then over here you can see it's folded, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric there. Now I gotta go grab a slightly oversized t-shirt, so I'm just going to use the one that I'm wearing. So I took off my shirt, folded it in half, and just put it on top of my folded tablecloth with that folded edge lined up and the collar lined up with the top. And this part here should be my shoulder seam area, so that's all lined up. And now I am just going to go and cut out this area here. So it's going to be a lovely square chopped out, and you can be as generous or as tight as you want with your cuts. It's all about how you would like your final dress to fit. I want mine to be looser than the t-shirt, which is why I lined it up a little bit further back from the fold, and I'll be cutting mine a little bit generously here, I think. And now that we have the sides cut out, we can chop out our neckline. As always, I'm going to be very tight with my cut here because, as always, it's easier to chop less and need more than to try to have to put the fabric back on. So just going by my line here, I'm just gonna go there, move my shirt, and just do a gentle curving cut and chop off that corner. And this lovely little chopped bit is absolutely perfect for going into my stash of doilies and patches because look, I can easily cut this out and stitch it onto something as a funky little lacy applique. Before I try it on to check the neckline, I'm just going to do a very quick straight stitch here and here to close up my side seams and sleeve seams on both sides. So my sides and sleeves are all stitched. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up because I chose an excellent thread match here, but I did, as always, a straight stitch and then a zigzag over top of it because this lacy fabric might fray. I'm not sure if it will, but it might. So it's always a good idea to do that zigzag over top of your straight stitch just to help prevent any possible fraying. And you see, that looks absolutely fantastic. And I have grabbed my little stash of white and light colored lace bits here, and I think I'm going to bind with this one because it's the closest one that I have to this off-white beigey cream color. And you know, to bind up your necklines or hemlines, you just stitch it like this on one side, leaving enough that you can then fold over and stitch it along the other side, and then you're done. It's so simple. Actually, if I wanted to, I probably could just do like a zigzag stitch around this neckline because it's not really going to fray from like, if I do this, it's not fraying at all, which is fantastic. But let's finish it off properly with this. So with just a couple of cuts and a few simple seams, my lovely lace dress is complete, and now we can go try it on and style it up. For this quick and easy project, all you need is a scarf that wraps easily around your body, plus a boxy, loose-fitting top to use as a template, and of course, your sewing gear. So the very first thing I've done is fold my big scarf in half into a triangular shape. So I have a point there and the fold on the other side. Now I'm going to grab the two corners, put them together as evenly as I can, and then fold it in half again. So I now have a point at the top and the folded edges at the bottom, and I still have a very nice triangular shape as evenly as possible. So to create the head hole and neckline of my soon-to-be scarf top, all I have to do is chop off this top point. Now I'm going to chop off a small amount first, just 2 to 3 centimeters worth, and if I need more, then I can always chop off more. So I just tried it on and it won't go over my head, so I have folded it once again with all of these chopped edges as lined up as I could get them, and now I'm just going to go chop off some more. So now my head hole is the perfect size. I am going to go and bind up the edge here because it's definitely going to fray. If you're using like a cotton jersey or sweatshirt or t-shirt type of fabric, you actually do not have to hem up the edges. Just give them a gentle tug and they will curl up onto themselves, and you have a no-sew finished edge. Great. But as I said, this one is going to fray. So I just grabbed this cute little vintage border from my stash, and I'm just gonna stitch that all around that raw edge on the inside, and then I'm gonna fold it around to the front to bind up and conceal that fraying edge there. So I have my trim stitched all the way around the neckline on the inside of my scarf, and now I'm gonna flip it round to the right side and simply grab that stitched on border and fold it around so it will now be facing the outside. And you can see once that is all stitched on, it is going to very effectively stop the fray here and conceal this chopped edge under the pretty lace neckline. How gorgeous did that come out? It is absolutely perfect. So I have my top laid out flat, folded into that triangle shape again. I have the neckline at the top. These are the folds here are going to become my shoulders. And of course, down at the bottom, I have that triangle point because I want this to be kind of a handkerchief looking top. Alrighty, now I grabbed my template top here and I'm going to line up the necklines. I mean, they're not really similar size, but it's close enough. Okay, I have everything lined up here. Now I'm just going to grab a pin and just kind of put it right at the underarm seam, maybe a little bit down there from the underarm seam. And yeah, then I'm just going to stitch straight down from my pin. It's not a big stitch at all, but it will then create these kind of floaty sleeves here. Then once I had my first stitch done, all I had to do was fold my top evenly in half, and then I just used my first stitch as kind of a template and marked where to stitch down on the other side to create my other sleeve. Super simple. For this crazy, quick and easy project, all you need is a long scarf or pashmina or a big length of fabric that you can wrap around your body, as well as an oversized shirt plus your sewing gear. So you want to fold your scarf in half lengthwise and have the fold up at the top. And if you're kind of lucky like me and your scarf had these cool fringes on the sides, these are now going to be on the bottom and be a funky detail on the bottom of my dress. Now I have folded my scarf in half with right sides facing, and it's not always easy to tell on like scarves and shawls and pashminas what's the right side and the wrong side. So if it has like finished edges like this, what you can do is take a look and see which side it was folded over to create, you know, that nice hem there, and then this would be the wrong side. So now I have to create my neckline head hole area, and of course I'm going to do what I always do and fold my fabric, my scarf here in half again and make it as even as I can. And then I have my point here, and this, I mean, you can even see here, this is pretty much exactly going to be the center of my finished dress, so that's fantastic. So now I'm just gonna chop off a little bit to start, and we'll see how it's gonna fit. So you can see here that the head hole neckline is chopped out, but it is super duper fraying, so I do of course have to bind it. So because I already have blue thread in my sewing machine and I really don't feel like switching it out for the orange and then switching it back to the blue, I think first we are going to do the sides of the dress and then I will do the neckline after, just because I don't want to faff around changing threads. Do you guys do that? Do you kind of, you know, you really don't like changing threads? Now I've grabbed my oversized t-shirt, gonna line up the necklines and the shoulder seams, and then I am simply going to mark a little bit down from the underarm seam with a pin, and then I'm just going to sew straight down on both sides from under those underarm seams to create the side seams of my dress. So I have now switched out my thread, so let's go tackle that neckline. Okay, this neckline is like fraying like it's literal professional job. This is crazy, so it needs this binding desperately. Okay, so I'm just going to do what I always do, and I'm going to start on the inside of the neckline and kind of about halfway down like so, line that up and then go stitch this on, And then we'll come back for the second step. So now that I have my neckline binding all stitched onto the inside of my dress, I can now flip it right side out, and there you can see it. It is super fraying still, and now I'm just going to fold it over and cover up all of that fray there. I might have to trim a bit of that though. So now it is folded around to the front. I can go and stitch all of it all the way around again. How lovely does that neckline look? That is just perfect. And can you believe it? This was just a belt from a sweater. Like, how awesome. Anyway, let's go try it on and style it up. 3 cuts and 2 or 3 simple seams. That is all it takes to make these. It is so simple. If you can envision the shape of a T, then you can make this, right? You can make them for yourself, for your friends, for your family. You can even start your own little tea top and tea dress business if you want to. And if you want to go even deeper into my Refashionista brain, there I'm going to give it to you. I highly recommend subscribing because I share brand new videos every single Friday. And of course, you have the wealth of fab-free tutorials over on my blog, over on my channel. And you can also join my wardrobe revolution at refashionistasheri.com. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag. For just 99 cents a month, you can help save a struggling refashionista. For just 99 cents a month, you can help sustain the much-needed work that goes on behind the scenes. Every thrift flip, every DIY, every upcycle, every free tutorial can only continue with your support. Join my Refashionista crew for only 99 cents a month, less than the cost of 2 bananas or a pack of gum, and help me continue teaching anyone who wants to learn how to use what they have to make what they want. Don't let affordable, sustainable DIY style become an endangered species. Join my Refashionista crew today.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.